Hi there, I'm Christina Brewer, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to draw a rose in 3 simple steps. And then we're going to take it from a beginner drawing to a piece of artwork. I grow a few varieties of roses in my garden because they bloom all season long, and they're always available for art inspiration. The reference photo I use in this video is from my garden. I've desaturated my reference photo so we can focus on the white marks I'm making. I want to show you the main shapes of this rose. I always start drawings with the outline because that is the easiest shape to pick out. The next shape that stands out to me is the tightly packed with petals center. It is shaped like a wine glass filled with petals. Then you just define a few unfolding petals between the outer shape and the inner shape, and you have a rose. I begin by lightly drawing my rose in pencil onto my watercolor paper block. I start with the outline again, just like in the demonstration, and then I place the wine glass of petals in its position. From there, I go around placing unfolding petals approximately where I see them between the center and the outline. They are not perfectly matched to the photo, but that's okay, it would still turn out looking like a rose. When placing ink down on a drawing, I use short, loose marks. It creates a more realistic drawing than just making a heavy, solid line. I use my same 3-step rose formula over and over again by doing the outline first, then placing the cylinder or wine glass of petals, and then fill in the gap in between with the unfolding petals. To make the rose jump off the page, we need to add contrast to the drawing. That means making light and dark areas to give the rose depth. The inside areas need to be dark, the folded areas need to be dark, and any flat outer petal surfaces need to be light. Another way to think of it is the base of the petals are dark and the tips are light. I go into all of the dark folded areas and make dark hatch mark lines and scribbles and spread my marks out to make them lighter as I make my way up the petal. I use my reference photo loosely at this point. I mainly get lost in the lines and hatches. It's so fun to do this part. What I am using my reference photo for is keeping track of the dark, middle, and light areas of the rose. I establish the darkest and lightest areas of the rose, then all of the marks in between are compared to those areas. For instance, I'll think things like, this is the second lightest petal area, or this is the second darkest, and make my shading lines accordingly. I use the same pen for this entire drawing. I just press harder or lighter and condense or space apart my marks. The process gets harder as the petals get bigger, which is why I started in the center. You win the small battles first, then gain confidence in your picture to get through the more tedious areas. I actually shade the tips of the outer petals, which is against what I said earlier, because the older outer petals are curled under at the tips, so the tips are actually in shadow, and the middle of the petal is getting more light. I try to make my hatch lines follow the curve of the petal to give it a more natural look. I'm not very precious with my lines at all. If you look really close, it's pretty scribbly. It's the overall effect that makes it look good, not the individual lines. This piece from the pencil drawing to the watercolor wash finish took about 1 hour. That's maybe less than you expected. It's because I'm not over careful. I get a little wild. I made this drawing on watercolor paper so I could wash over it and try out my new watercolor set. I'll link it below in the description. I use a warm cadmium red mixed with yellow first for the areas hit by light. Then for the shadowy areas, I cool the red down with a blue and place that color in the under petals and in the folds and inside areas of the rose. Now I'm being a little careful to leave the tips of some petals with only the first peachy color so they stand out. We won't go over them again with color. I add a rich red all over the drawing and yellow and blue to the stem to make green. I use the richer red one more time and toss in the sky behind the rose to give it a more complete look. And there you have it, a piece of artwork. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more like it, just hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a wonderful day.